Son, of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Let us continue to pray for peace, for the conversion of terrorists, that God touch their hearts. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and in the hour of our death. Amen. Mary, seat of wisdom,
Pray for us.
in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Okay, so this morning we continue to study the human life, but it is a special aspect of human life. It's the end of human life. You know, in the organic life, there is a beginning, but there is also an end. And that end is called death. So this morning, it is a reflection on that very important moment of your life. It is the passage from life to afterlife. We call it death. It's a real meditation. Philosophy, in fact, is a meditation. When you study, don't try only to learn by heart. Try to meditate, to assimilate. The real meditation. Here you have everything to occupy your mind for hours. For hours. Okay. So life is inseparable from the experience of death. That is the first paragraph. So in fact, we start from non-life, because before I was born, my cells existed. You know, all those atoms existed before. Because in chemistry, you know, nothing is created. Nothing is annihilated, but everything is transformed. Therefore, the cell of my air existed before I existed, you know. So, in fact, before, my body was non-life. And after, I received life. And now I have to speak again about non-life, you know. So, in the Bible, you are dust and you will come back to dust, you know. Okay. So life and death are inseparable. Inseparable. We cannot think about when you study about living being, material. I speak about material living being. I don't speak here about angel or ghost. No, I speak about material living being. That means being living in a body, matter, a body. So it is a fact. Every living thing is subject to the law of death. So lives of organism will not continue to exist as an organism. Every organic reality has an end. So that is, there is no eternal flower. There is no eternal dog, eternal cat. My cat will die, and my dog will die, I will die. And the flower and the trees and the sequoias, they will die. That is the law of... in fact, I have in my own body already what it is needed to die. And when you study biology, and we study a cell, for example, continually, you are fighting against a factor of death. We are menaced continually by agents, microbe or germ. They can introduce in our bodies some cause of death, sickness and death. Yeah. So that is what is that? That is a substantial change. We start from life and we go to non-life. It's not only accidental change, it is essential, substantial. That means the body, my dog is living, and my dog is dead, is no more my dog. In fact, we say my dog is dead. It's not true. Because your dog is no more there. It is a heap of atoms. It's the same for us. When we die, my body, we say my body, it was my body. It is no more my body. It's a question of days, of weeks, of years. Or sometime when you cremate, it's a question of hour. And we become dust. And after that, we have a little bottle of dust, you know.
So if the body is not your anymore, so who possesses it?
It is, you know, when he is living, when I am living, my body is one, is unified by my soul, by your principle of life. When I die, there is no more principle of life. What happened? Every atom now is not communicating. It is accidentally united to the other atoms, accidentally, not substantially. You know, during all your life, the part of your body, your organs, your atoms are one. When you die, there is no more principle of unity, of unification, of coordination, of organization. So when the principle of organization, unity is no more there, they are there, the parts are there, but they are no more unity. So they are condemned to corruption. Corruption, because decomposition. Why? Because they are no more unified. So we understand the importance of the human soul or the soul of animals. Is this principle of unity, principle of coordination. When there is no, for example, when you were young, maybe you were walking on the street, as such we call cadet, cadet. And when the parade is finished, there is no more parade. But the cadets are there, but they are not working, they are not going everywhere, no? So the soldier, when they walk on the street, they are the same pace. They are a principle of unification between them. They cannot walk at the same pace without some command. But when they stop and they say, okay, now everybody is free, go home, what happened? The soldiers are soldiers, but they are not walking as a one unit. My body is the same. My atom, everything is no more walking, functioning at the same pace, a united one with the other, because there is no more principle of life. So it is a substantial change, not accidental. Of course, for Descartes, it will be accidental change, because the soul is accidentally united to the body. But for us, the soul is substantially united to the body as one. I am I. And that I at death is continued to be I in your soul, but your body is a multitude of atoms. Okay? It is not annihilation. We are not annihilated, because something continued to exist, the permanent for man. And we see that soon. The permanence of the soul, we call immortality of the soul. For the animal, I will speak about that after.
So how we can explain if separate after that, soul and body separate? How we can explain when the last day, when the soul and the body resurrection?
Okay. Be patient. We will come on that. Okay. It's a very good question. I will speak about that.
Okay.
So that is a type of change, not annihilation, okay? It's a substantial, total change, you know? And now you have that here. First, clearly that is a term, it's an end, it's a total change. The nature of the dead body is no more the nature as a human body. Secondly, when something living dies, there is a total cessation of life. There is no more life. The body is there, but the body has no motion, has no power of, no more spontaneity and no more immanence. You remember? Spontaneity and immanence. So, no more. You can give food to a, you can give an injection. One of the the tests they do to verify somebody is dead, one of the tests is to inject something, and if the liquid is rejected, that means that man is dead. You know. Okay. It is a total cessation, so no more activity, no more. We judge the life from. You remember one? We know life from the activity of the living. So we know that from the non-activity, the absence of activity. No more nutrition, no more growth, no more possibility of procreation. It is total cessation of activity. So if the activity ceases, the nature is no more there. It is another nature. It is a cadaver. It is a corpse. It is a dead body. In fact, when you go to a funeral home, you look at the body, it's not your father. It was your father. Of course, everybody says, oh, look at my father. But strictly, philosophically speaking, he's not your father. Because what made your father? It was when he was living with a soul animating him. Now it's a quantity of... those trillion of cells were the cells of your father. But now they are no more the cells of your father. But because they were the cells of your father, we respect the body, you know. But strictly speaking, you are not there. You are not there. You will be elsewhere. Okay. So the radical incapacity of vital is a criterion of that. No more activity. Nothing. Yes.
I'm still confusing because after that is because when we live is our still living, but after that is some doctor they still use organ to give another patient.
Yes, yes.
But it's actually the cell is still living.
Okay, you know, my eyes, my kidneys,
Yeah.
my heart are organs, are tools. That is a good question. And that proof your heart can become the heart of another.
Yes, after that, if you are...
Yes, of course, not the one you are living.
It's still living, but if they dead. They
So,
cannot-
okay, you are dead, but your heart is not yet corrupted. You know, the organ, for a few hours, you have to do that very rapidly. Your heart is not corrupted, so it can be transplanted in the heart of another. In my case, here, my eyes, I was losing my eye because the cornea was rotten. So they took the cornea, the part of the cornea of the dead person, and they put that in here. So I see you with a dead cornea. But it's not a dead cornea, it's a living cornea. And when you transplant the heart of a dead person, a young man has an accident, he dies, immediately they take the heart, they put that in ice, and they send that to Germany or to France or to California. The heart is an organ. When the organ is transplanted, it is animated by the soul of the person. You know, that means it's a proof that the mother. Your heart after your death is no more your heart. It was your heart. And now is the heart of another man. Like here, the cornea of that dead man is my cornea. So that is interesting to prove that after that, in fact, my organs they are not my organs. I'm not there. They are the organ of the body, and they can use that for other people. That is the marvel of medicine. Okay, but they cannot change your mind. Unfortunately, they cannot use your brain. Take the brain and put another. No, here. Okay, page 28. So a dead being is no longer a source and center of self-movement. So we said that already. The phenomenon of death is related to the body-soul dualism. So how we can explain that in the theory of Aristotle and St. Thomas, it's not difficult because we are dualistic reality. We have body and soul. And we are one as long as we are living. And when we die, a part of our substance, if you want, the material part, is separated from the other. Well, for the spirituality of the soul, we'll study that in a few minutes, how we can affirm that the soul is immortal, okay? So for monists, it's a problem. For example, for Marxist, materialist, they say everything is matter. If everything is matter, the soul also is matter. How we can explain that? They cannot explain that, strictly speaking. Because if life is matter, why life would disappear? Life should continue. So we cannot reduce life to matter. Huh? There is more than matter in life. There is a principle. Huh? Okay. So that if we say here on page 28, the difficulty, why does the body cease all of its previous function if everything is matter? That's it. So they say, and now you have another monism. You have the materialistic monism. You know monism, that means explain everything through only one principle, body or soul. But the body, matter, is difficult to explain why matter matter should not never die, you know, matter is eternal. Secondly, those who say, oh no, the body is only appearance and man is a spirit. So for them, the death should be only an illusion. And that is important when you study theology. You know, the first Christian, among the first Christians, there was a current we call the Gnostic. The Gnostic. In that current, they affirmed that in fact the reality was only the spirit. So when God became man, it was only an appearance of man. While he died on the cross, it was only an appearance of death, you know. That is the illusion. It was an illusion. Therefore, there was not real redemption. There was not real death, etc. That is, you have two kinds of monism. Those who affirm there is only matter, and those who affirm there is only spirit. Okay. But I will not insist on that. I go to page 29. The position of Aristotle with moderate realism, taken after by St. Thomas. So the moderate dualism can give a consistent explanation because that can be seen as a separation. That is a separation. When I say separation, I say division. I say corruption. What is a corruption? Is a separation. Okay. So a separation of two essential principles. The soul, which what was the principle of life, is no longer informing, the soul is no more the form of the body. And the form in body. No, if a dead body is no more informed, is no more animated. Animated. Anima in Latin. Soul. The soul is the form of the body. Okay? That is it is a dissolution of the essence. The essence was man is a rational animal. So when the animal disappears, man is no more, man as a rational animal. It is a human soul. Human soul. We cannot say I am a human. No, I am a human soul. Because to be a human, you must be soul and body. Okay? So so the soul, principle of organization is no more there. Okay. So then in this view, that consists in the dissolution of the very essence. So when the essence, the substance is disappeared, destroyed, maybe the I is destroyed, you know. So when the union, the living union is no more there, there is no more information by the soul, life, everything stops. You know, it's the same, for example, you have an electric motor, electric engine, and suddenly the current stops. What happened to your device, to your engine? Stop. no more. You have a washing machine, and suddenly there is an outage, no more electricity, and no more, no more washing machine. The machine is there, but there is no principle of motion, no more electricity. It's the same for the body. So the inner structure of the living contains inside the very seed of its own dissolution. The structure, what is the structure of the human person? The body first. The body is made with many parts, physical parts. We see trillions of cells. Already is something that can be divided. You know, quantity, material quantity. One of the characteristics is the possibility of division, corruption. We can divide. Well, as soon as something is quantified, we can have many parts after. We can. But the problem is not first there. The problem is the fact we are body and soul. And that is not, you know, it is not accidentally, it is substantial. I am a body and a soul at the same time together. And because I am composed, I am subject to division. What is composed? What is composed? That means it is subject of division. Why? Because it is made with different parts. Part 1, part 2. So, but everything composed is subject to division and subject to corruption. Not corruption of the thing itself, corruption of the first reality. You know? So the first corruption is not the corruption of my body. The first corruption is the division between my body and my soul. And the consequence of that is my body, at this turn, will be corrupted. So I would say the corruption of the body is a second corruption. The first corruption is a separation, the division from the composed reality I am, body and soul. That is the first corruption. And the fact I am composed of body and soul, that it is possible, it is in my nature as an animal, to be corrupted. You know? That means to be separated from the principle of life. And not my body alone, when my body is alone, of course, because there is no more principle of unity, the body will be decomposed. Yes?
In philosophy, do we have the kind of death, only death for a few hours? For example, somebody they dead and after a few hours they resurrect.
No, we don't.
We don't have that kind of death in philosophy?
Philosophy, we don't know. We don't speak about how long. What we speak, you know, even the strict scientific definition of death, which is the cessation, the functioning of the brain, that is science, it's not philosophy. What we can say in philosophy, we are composed, and we live as a composed being, body and soul, as long as we are animated by the soul. When the body is no more able to continue to function, because I am losing my everything, piece by piece, I become old, etc. My soul stop being the form of my body. That means I am decomposed. My body and my soul are separated. And now, because I am no more animated, my body is no more animated by my soul, of course my body will fall into 1,000 million of parts. But we cannot say when. But at the end, I have a paragraph about the resurrection. Okay, we'll speak about that. Because the form is the form of the body, and my soul, for all eternity, will be the form of a body. The body is not there, but it is the form of a body. Because I am what makes my soul? My soul, it is my body. You remember that, huh? A principle of individuation. It is my quantified matter that individualizes my soul. And that soul is the form of a body. The body disappears, but the soul continues to be the form, individual. My soul continues to be individual. That means the fact that my form is the form of the body, not this body. Be careful, not this body, because my body is my 11 body, according to scientists. Huh? Continually, my cells are renewed at a fast, incredible speed. Incredible speed. Every day, I lose almost millions of cells, and they are changed and they are renewed continually. It's the reason why we eat. It's necessary because of that. But my soul continues to be the soul of a body. A day, maybe it can find again a body. That is not philosophy, that is theology. But the possibility of resurrection is philosophy. Okay, we'll speak about that. So it is the dissolution. And you know what? My soul is animating a body. If the body is already dysfunctioning, is not functioning well because of diseases, because I'm losing some members, etc., now what happened? It will be the cause of death. In fact, the cause of death is not in my soul. The cause of death is in my body. You know? When do you use your car? As long as your car functions well, no? When your car stops functioning well, do you stay in your car? But by analogy, we say the same for the soul, you know? The soul is animated a body, but that body must act as a particular activity. If the body has no more the capacity of producing activity, that will lead the body to death, and that death is a separation. In fact, the cause of death is not in your soul. The death of death is in your body. Because I have a body, because I am an animal, so it's normal that I will die. Of course, the revelation told us that God created man, but that is theology. I don't want to discuss that here. But that was supernatural, supernatural. But it is natural in the nature of man to die because of his body. And his body will not be always functioning well. So a certain time it will not be able to be used by the soul. The soul will not be able to use the body. So that is that, you know. Okay? Because sometimes we are inclined to say, okay, well, it's like a man going out of the car. No, when I die, it's not my soul going out of the car. It is because the car is not functioning, it is decomposing. Automatically, my body becomes free, if you want. You know, as long as the body is unified, as long as it's functioning, is responding to the power given by the soul, we have unity of life. But when the body is no more able, so it is that. The same thing, you know, you have a machine, for example, the kind of machine, but electricity is coming, but at a certain time, maybe the machine breaks. And when the machine breaks, even you have electricity, the machine cannot function, the machine is dead, you know. We can take some analogy sometimes with electricity and a machine. And if the machine does not function, it's not because of electricity. No, electricity is there. I have a device in my room. I bought for it's made in China. So, and now it stopped functioning. We can have the battery, we can have electricity, it's not functioning. So the soul is there if you want, but the body is no more there, you know. So, okay. I go to page 30. Now the problem, when you speak about that, you meant that, you speak also about immortality. Because the big problem for man is anything after death. I think no man who reflects a little bit on his destiny will not ask that question a day or an other. Is there anything after death? Okay? So man alone first is able to preview his death. We can preview, and we prove that. If we preview our death, for example, we write a will, no? We prepare our death, we choose our cemetery where the will be buried. No, yes, it's true. We'll be buried. Oh, it's funny, last time at my 88th birthday, I was with my sister and my brother. And we discuss about that, but we are laughing about that. But it's true. We have to prepare. Huh? And how will I have a brother-in-law? He wants to give his organ to science, but he must be immediately after his death put into a refrigerator. So we tease him. We say, "Hey, where is your refrigerator?" Yes, we foresee our death. Because we can reflect on the past and project the future. An animal cannot do that. It's the reason why a cow going to be slaughtered continue to chewing gum, and a few seconds after, boop, it's finished, you know. But a man going to electric chair is not the same thing, huh? He's not chewing gum. After that, what will happen after that? Okay. And so, we humans stand closer to that because we can know ourselves and we can reflect on our experience. And we know we will die from the death of others. Of course, we cannot reflect from our own death because we are not dead. But we reflect on the death from the death of others. It's a universal fact. And also, we reflect the fact that we are finite. You know, we are contingent. I think we are contingent. I did not create myself. I don't exist by myself, and I will. So, I am because I am finite. I am contingent. I am not forever. My body is not forever. Anyway, look at yourself in the mirror. Not you, because you are young. But in a few years, you will see some gray hair, some wrinkle, and instead of being 5 feet 10 inches, it will be 5'8". When I went to the hospital, he asked me, so before I was 5'10", now I am 5'8". We are finite. Finite in time also. We are sure, in 100 years, probably nobody among us will be on earth. You have to think about that. And we have, in every civilization, they think about that. Before Christianism, there was a celebration in the Celtic country. We now perpetuate that through Halloween, Halloween, you know, the cult of the death. That is general, okay? So the fact is certain. We are absolutely certain of that. Absolutely certain of that. Nobody can be, I will always be a living on it. That is, nobody can say that, okay? But the uncertainty is about time, about when, where, and how. When, where, and how. So we don't know when, we don't know where, we don't know how. It's better not to know. It is a grace of God to ignore the future. It is a grace of God to ignore the future. You know, those who are condemned to death, and you are in death row for 10 years, 20 years, those people are they are not happy. They are always say, maybe tomorrow, we never know. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. It's horrible to know the future. It's better not to know. Yes.
Father, do you think someone they can know the day of their death? Because I experienced my grandfather before he passed away. One day he go around to say thank you to people and say goodbye.
Yes, but you know, a man when he's dying, a woman is dying, we feel that something is not functioning well. So he said that, you know. It's common sense. If you don't digest well, you see, you know, I will not sleep well tonight because I don't digest. No, there can be a kind of intuition, but we cannot precise that with exact. So it's funny, some doctors, they say, oh, you have only for 1 year or 2 months. And sometimes they are for 10 years. Yes, brother.
So Father, someone who have a cancer, and normally if we didn't find there's a good treatment for them, so they know when they have cancer they will die soon.
Yes, but not always. Huh? It's surprising. We have a brother, we have a member of our society, Father Salazar. He's in Washington. He's supposed to be dead for 2 or 3 years. He's never dead. He's still living and still active. Nobody understands that. He's supposed to be dead because his case is very serious, but he's still living. Yes. And the doctor had difficulty to explain that. Maybe it's a miracle. But he's not here. He continued to be sick. But he's a tough man. Psychological is important also. Huh? If you say, I will fight, or I will go, that can have an influence on the psychic has an influence on the body. That is sure. Sure. Okay? So that preoccupation is present in the psyche of man. That means every man, adult, can speak about that. I told you maybe last class, I said that in my homily on Sunday, my first experience of death. I was 5 years old. I told that to you?
No.
So we have 2 houses in Montreal, and we live in the 2nd floor here, and here I have she was 6 years old, she was my girlfriend. And a day I was on the 2nd floor, I saw a white car arriving, and they took a white box from the car and they entered the box here. So I said, what is that? And my mother, she put a beautiful dress. She said, now we will see your friend. So I walked down, I entered the room, and she was immobile in the box. And if I touch her, she doesn't react. First experience of death. I never knew it, but a child who never saw what is dying, he cannot know. So it was experience. And everybody in our life, we have some experience of that. And when you have the experience of death, we cannot avoid to think about our own death. Okay? So, and we see that, in the arts. The arts express very well that many paintings, many poems, music express the problem of death, or in literature. There is a lot of things in literature, movies, we speak about that, the reaction of the men faced with, especially, for example, in Paris now, what happened on Friday night. And I think it's difficult for a child, a boy, who looks at that, watch the television, not to ask questions, but is death? Death is a reality in our life. Okay. Now, and I think it's good that children be witnesses of death. Sometimes today we try to avoid that children see people dying, see people in hospital. Oh, say, oh, poor children. They will be traumatized for the rest of their life. No, it is a part of their formation. And when you saw your grandmother, I remember my grandmother died, and we were 9 children. The little was 3 years old, and we went to the funeral home. And my little sister, she did not know what was death at 3 years old. But she arrived and she touched grandmother. Hey, she's cold. She's hard. She made an experience of that. It's a good thing. Because we must be familiar with that. We must not be afraid. And that is an occasion for a child to ask questions. Where is my friend? Where is grandmother? And that is the occasion for the parent to educate their children about the reality of death and after death. After death. Okay? So, next paragraph, next page. So, in fact, the thought of death obliges us to reflect on our own destiny. It is a German philosopher, Heidegger. Heidegger Heidegger says there is only one philosophical problem, death. Because all the rest finished there, huh? You can do what you want on life, and a day or another you have to face that reality. Okay? He said a man is being condemned to death. In fact, is this true? When a baby is born, it's a death in potency. At that period, yes. Of course, we never say that. I don't baptize a dying boy, huh? A dying girl. But I must know that there is a beginning and there is an end. And knowing the end is important to orientate, to guide all the rest of my life. Is the end of my life is money, or pleasure, or domination? It's not the same as my life is to be with God the Father for all eternity, etc. The orientation of my life is very important in regard with what happened at death and after death. If there is nothing after death, I can do what I want, no? I can kill, I can do what I want. There is nothing. But if there is something that changes completely my way of living, completely. So life and death are in fact, they are the two sides of the same reality. We cannot think about death without life, and we cannot think about life without death. They are the two faces of the same reality. Life is between a beginning and an end. It is true for many things. You go to a movie. In a movie, you have a beginning and you have an end. The end on the screen. That means now go back home and go back to reality. Okay? It's the same in music. You have a beginning, you have an end. It's the same in a speech. You have an introduction and a conclusion. Life is the same thing. Okay? So the meaning of life is, in fact, linked with the end. In everything, that is not only for death, it is for everything. Every activity we have in life takes its meaning from the end. No? The end, the goal, the purpose, the motive. Everything you do something, why do you do that here, the first day, and in 10 days you will have maybe a party. You do something today to prepare the future. And to prepare the future, you must have a motive. So your action here, preparing a party, for example, has a motive. And add that, your action has a meaning. You prepare cakes, you prepare decoration, etc. You prepare for a party when you have your master in theology. The motive gives to your action a meaning. If there is no motive, there is no end, there is no finality, there is no meaning. So the meaning of life depends on the end, the finality. What is at the end? That is what is true for everything. You are here in class this morning. Is the presence of each of you in this class is something rational? Is that present as a meaning? Yes or no? Yes, of course. Why? Because you are looking at the future. You have a goal. You have an end. Well, to have a diploma, to become a priest, to become a future superior general of the sister of the incarnation. I don't know. You know? No, but that is very important. You know why people suicide many times? Because they have no meaning. Why they have no meaning? Because they have no more purpose. A purpose, a goal, a finality, an end, a motivation, give a meaning to your action. That is common sense, no? Common sense. You don't do an action now without any purpose. Otherwise you are either a robot or a loco, a crazy man. Because you know what you are here. You are here for something. So the end gives to your action now a meaning. The meaning comes from there. It's the reason why when a policeman, a detective, are searching for who did a crime, what they are searching for? First, a motive. Why that happened? Why that happened? And from that, they will try to find the one who did that with that motive. So we find the motive to come back to the cause. Okay? So the human death is different from the death of non-living being, of course, because we are aware of the future. We are aware of something possible after death, or we are sure there is something, or we are maybe there is something, or we are sure there is nothing. You know, you have three positions. I am sure there is something. Oh la la, I must be careful. Count, Mr. Count. Yeah, there is something. Okay. Or there is nothing, Mr. Marx. You know? Yes. If there is nothing, we can kill people, Pol Pot. We can, human life has no value. After that is nothing. Or can't you say, oh, your judgment, be careful, be careful. No, you do your duty because you will be judged. That changes our life. If there is something after, it's different. For a Christian, of course, his faith gives a motive, because a meaning to his life, because there is something after life. And he is sure of that. Someone they doubt, maybe. Some they are sure. Those who died for Christ, for example, for their faith, like this morning, the old man, Eleazar, with white hair. We said that in the reading of the Mass this morning. But he has a conviction there was something after. Martyrs, those they die, if they give their life, they think there is something after. Muslims, when they suicide, they are sure there is 72 virgins waiting for him in heaven. But according to exegesis, they say it's not 72 virgins, it's 72 grapes waiting for them. It's a bad translation. So they will be deceived to eat grapes instead of other things. But there is a motive. They cannot do what they do, suicide, without a motive. And they wash their brain, they fill their brain with the conviction. After that, they act. When we have a conviction of the past after that, post-mortem, after that, we don't act the same way that if we have no conviction. You know? That is the proof that death is very, very important. And the knowledge of what after that is important. Because what there is after that is guiding my own activity now. You want to become a priest, you study theology. You want to study theology, you must study philosophy. If you want to study philosophy, you must go in class with Father Legault to philosophy of man. You know, but you have a motivation, and that motivation influences, give a meaning to every action you are doing. You know? It's the same for me. I am stupid to teach. I could be on a cruise, walking, visiting Vietnam, visiting South America. No, I have a meaning, because I have and I want to form priests. I want to help people. You know. It's the same for those who work with lepers, with AIDS, Ebola. They know it's dangerous, but they have a motivation. Okay? Well, consequently, our life consciousness contains the fact of death. We cannot be conscious without saying that a day will die. And for a Catholic who says the Rosary every day, at least 50 times, what he will say, pray for us sinners now, at the hour of our death. We say that, no? Every day, every day, every day, every day, 50 times or 150 times. we see that. Why? Because after that. We prepare the after that. Okay? So the fact of the respect of the respect of death, or the searching for a meaning of death, is not proper to our culture. Every culture in the world has a right, a special attitude, in fact, in face of death. In the majority of the culture, we say almost all culture, believe in an after death. And when we study our culture, our civilization, where we go in the tombs. And in the tombs we find things proving that the people believe in the immortality of heaven. They believe that death was only a passage. They put food, they put many things, so the person, the man or the women, after that they will be able to continue to live, It was that's very important. When we want to understand the culture, we must go to the tomb of how they bury their people, because the way they bury the people, they express their conviction of an after death. For example, the pyramid in Egypt. The pyramid in Egypt, they have the tomb of the pharaoh. So because they believe. In after that, they prepare a monument and they give to the pharaoh everything he needs. Even sometimes they give a boat to pass the stick, to pass the river between life and death. Okay? So it's a universal respect. Every culture has a respect for the death. Every culture also think about an after death. It can be 72 virgin, it can be a good banquet, it can be a meeting with God, to jump on the arm of my Father in heaven. But a thing difficult is this: when we die alone. That is an individual phenomenon. Even if we are executed together, each one died itself. That is the difficulty. When somebody is dying, what we can do? It is he who will pass on the other side, will pass from life to afterlife. So next page 22. Men have particular interest on the phenomenon of death. That is expressed, for example, in America by the Halloween. For Catholic, for All Saints. And the 2nd of November, All Souls, And how many movies are based? It's funny. People don't believe in God, but they believe in ghosts. They don't go to the priest, but they go to the future teller, or the teller, you will find a beautiful woman, but be careful, don't marry her, because you have problem with her, etc. It's funny. We are interested to know the future. To know the future. We cannot be indifferent from death. We cannot be indifferent. It's impossible. There is a verse in the Bible. Think about your final end, and you will not commit sin. If everybody thought, if I die in 5 minutes, I will do that. If I die in 5 minutes, I drink too much beer.
If I die tonight, will I do my homework?
But it's better to do your homework, because after that, Saint Peter will ask you, where is your homework? That is, it's funny. We speak a lot of time about Saint Peter. When people speak about Saint Peter, it is they are convinced there is something after. We passed to the office of St. Peter. And you say, you are on the list. You are not on the list. Of course, our imagination. But in fact, ordinary people, they are convinced there is something after that. Only, I will say, only great intellectuals who reason a lot arrive to try to prove there is nothing. But in fact, when they are in danger, they say, oh my God! An atheist, when he's in danger, he say, oh my God! It's natural, okay? So that is it is an integral part of human life, of human conditions. The reason why even children must learn about that, must know about suffering, must know, because they will share in that reality as they another. Even like little children die also. Okay? That serve to set parameters. That means that is oblige us to find a meaning to our life. If we reflect on that, immediately we should reflect on the meaning. For example, you remember in the gospel, the man was very rich, and he created barn to put all his grain, all his money, etc. And the Lord said, "Fool, this night I will take your soul." You know. So if you think about that, well, you will put all that money. What will you bring about that? When I go to the cemetery, will I go with my bank account, my golden medal? I don't know. I will be naked. I will be completely. I think no control of myself. So it's important. When I was a brother, every night before going to bed, there was a prayer. The prayer was the superior said, "Let us think about our last end. A day I will die. A day I will be judged." Just before going to bed, you know. In fact, we say exactly that in the old Hail Mary. Pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Death is a sister for Saint Francis. Huh?
Amen.
Sister death. Huh? We have to live with sister death, because sister death can help us to prepare our room in my Father's house. Okay? So I speak about the meaning. Okay. Now, number 7, that must be explained, otherwise we cannot understand ourselves. That itself is not explanatory. If I think death alone, it is absurd. It is absurd. But death with a post-mortem, with something after death, death has a meaning. So it is not a final of the end of every reality. No, it is only a passage. So the meditation of that is very important. That is a negative fact, but it can be also a very positive fact. Negative in the sense that, of course, is something difficult to live. You have to separate, to detach from what we love. But it is also positive that allow us to attain what is real. In fact, what is the most important? It is to live 100 years on earth or for all eternity. So if we have the conviction of immortality and eternity, of course, the meaning of that is not the same as the one who think after that there is nothing, is losing everything. Everything. Okay? It's a central metaphysical problem. In fact, it is from the problem of death that we can ask all the most important questions. Where I am coming from, who I am, and when I am coming to. You know, the central question. We cannot cheat when we think about that. That means we are confronted to the central, the most important question in life. You know, is the reason why people try to forget death. When you go to funeral home now, and it's just beautiful, with beautiful music. You have a screen, you have a TV with, and the picture and the movies of that. That is, it's not there. Is he? Oh, look at it. He was so good. We try to not to think about that. Look, I don't know in Vietnam, but in America it's like that. We say, oh, he's beautiful. He said, I never see her. Oh, so beautiful. Oh, if she was living, I will marry her. No, or him. No. Yeah. We are more beautiful than that in reality. Why? Because to make people not think about that. I think about one of my uncle who received me when I was a young boy for all my vacation. And he was dying. He has a cancer, stomach cancer. And I said to my uncle, I was a priest, so I speak, you know, Soon you will be with Jesus, with God, etc. My aunt said, Michel, don't say that. We don't say that thing. we don't say those things. No, we have to face the reality of that. We cannot cheat. We cannot cheat in front of that. We can cheat many occasions, but not that. That is ineluctable. Huh? So we must give a meaning to that. The meaning is, of course, not on desert. It is after. And the meaning of that depends on after that. Huh? So it is an important philosophic question. Okay, page 33. So it is in fact, it is the future, the future here, the end, the future that gives a meaning to the present. The future, the goal, the end, give a meaning to the present. So it is so important. The future, after that, give a meaning to death and to all my life. You know, it is important to make people reflect on that. And the liturgy, every year they give us 2 days for that. The 1st of November and the 2nd of November. Of course, we are also the Passion of Jesus Christ. And every Mass, we pray for that. Every time you say your rosary, you pray for that. The future, condition, organized, give a meaning to the present. That is common sense. Common sense. Consequently, our inability to know our future becomes one of our inability to know our present and to know how you are human. If we don't know what will happen after that, we don't know who we are. To know who we are, we must know who we will be. For example, you are a seminarian. Because you know what you will be, you know now who you are. I want to become a physician, a surgeon, a doctor. So, because I want to become a doctor, I know who I am as a student in medicine, you know. That is very, very important. The motivation, the future. The future of man. The after that is excessively important. No? What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life comes from the future after that. It's funny, huh? What is not life, give a meaning to life. We have to go to the extreme. In fact, that is the extreme, the limit of our life. And that gives a meaning after, the after that gives the meaning to everything before. Now, a problem about immortality of the soul. Well, the soul for man survives. I had the proof 9.2. The proof of, in fact, during the semester, many times I underline that. Remember, when we study intellection, when we study the free will, I say that is a proof of the immortality of the soul. Now we are here. So because the act of the human intellection is intrinsically independent of the physical world, owing to its self-reflecting nature, the act of human intellection must proceed from a principle that is similarly immaterial, but also independent of matter. Immaterial is not difficult to understand that. It is something which is not matter. For example, you see an elephant enter you through the form. So the form of the elephant entering your mind must be immaterial. But the form of an elephant enters your cat. The form of an elephant enters your mind. But the difference, when you know not only this elephant, but the concept of elephant through abstraction, you remember that, huh? It is excessively important because for the spirituality of the human soul, what you study intellection is here. And the intellect illuminates, abstract, huh? And when it does that, is the principle efficient cause. For example, I am writing on the board. I am the principal efficient cause. But my pencil is instrumental. So here, you remember, it is the phantasm, but is the image of this elephant, the phantasm, which is singular and concrete, become abstract and universal. And the light is coming from the intellect and going back to intellect. We call reflection. All that activity does not depend on matter. So that is the characteristic of spiritual. Spiritual is something immaterial, but very important, independent of matter. Independent of matter. So that means it is not the phantasm that produced my knowledge. It is my intellect, agent intellect, using phantasm. What produced here my writing on the board is not my chalk. It is myself using a chalk. That it is the characteristic of what is spiritual. A spiritual is something immaterial, but acting independently of matter. It can use matter as a tool, but it's not the tool that makes the activity. Okay? So that is very important. So that's the characteristic of life. And you have that also not only for the intellect, but you have that also for the will. We saw that also. How the will can control, I can dominate my passion, my tendency, I am above my material need. Even I can give my life for a superior cause. I can give my life to save a person. I will die, but the person will be saved. That means I have the control. And that control is not provoked by any material reality. It is totally independent. So you have two major proofs. The proof of the intellection, we studied that in detail, and the proof of the free will. That is two. There are other proofs also. I can't give you some proof from the necessity of judgment, etc. It's necessary. The duty. We start from the fact of duty, and we arrive to prove that we have to be judged. If we have to be judged, we must be immortal. That's the proof from Immanuel Kant. Okay? So we have, in fact, the whole class of philosophy of man leads to that conclusion. That is the conclusion. The soul is, human soul is immortal. So the soul does not, next page, does not die because it is subsistent. In fact, the soul is subsistent because as intrinsically independent on matter, the soul does not rely on body. You know, I arrive to prove the soul is immortal because it is independent of the body in its activity. If the soul uses the body is as a tool, as a tool. It's not my body, that thing. It is my mind, my intellect. It's not my body that wills. It is my will. And my will has the domination over my body. So to be able to do that, it must be totally detached from the body. So to be detached totally from the body, it is to be subsistent in yourself, to be independent, and to be apart from matter. Or characteristic of matter is decomposition. We saw that, characteristic of matter, decomposition. But the soul, it being independent on matter, will not be decomposed because she is not composed. She is not corruptible. She is simple, etc. Okay? So the human soul directly receives the actuality of being within itself. In fact, the soul is not only independent of the body, it is the soul that animates the body, dominates the body. I am a body, living body, because of my soul, and not the contrary. Of course, my body gives to my soul its identity, its individuality. I have my soul, you have your soul. But when we die, we don't come back to a common soul. We continue to be the soul of a body. An example of that, analogy. A man died. His wife continued to exist. But her husband, of course, is not her husband on earth, but he will continue to be for eternity the husband of that woman, no? Because it's a historical fact, no? It's the same for my soul. My soul will be the form of my body after my death, even if there is nobody. Okay? Because, so the number 9.4, the human soul is unique and distinct from all inferior form of life, unique. And one of the proof of that, it is the fact that we are spiritual. We are spiritual. Not only we are immaterial, no matter, therefore no decomposition, but more than that, we are spiritual. That means we can subsist on the spiritual, because it is existing, having activity independent of the body by itself, animating the body. It can exist alone. It does not depend on his immaterial and spiritual. My cat, his soul is immaterial, but is not spiritual, because he cannot have the problem. He cannot think. He is limited only to sense knowledge. The soul, in fact, the soul of a cat is like this. Is like the form of a glass. You know, you have a glass, and the form of a glass. If you break the glass, the form disappears, no? Because the form is united, essentially, is not independent. My cat is the same. A flower is the same. And the soul of the flower, or the entelechy of the flower, is united intrinsically with matter. But it is immaterial, but it is not spiritual. So the difference is very important. Everything immaterial, everything spiritual is immaterial, but not everything immaterial is spiritual. So we have the next page. I go fast because time is passing very fast. There is intrinsically incorruptibility. So intrinsic incorruptibility. Something intrinsically corrupted is composite. In fact, the human soul is immortal, first, because it is spiritual. What is spiritual is simple. What is simple is cannot be decomposed, no composition. If there is no composition, there is no corruptibility. If there is no corruptibility, there is immortality. Immortality. So, in fact, all that comes from spirituality, and the spirituality of the human soul is proved through the interaction and the act of free will, of volition. Okay? So we call, for man, it is an intrinsic incorruptibility. For a cat, for a glass, it is an extrinsic corruptibility. Okay? So page 16, therefore, to affirm that the human soul is subsistent, is a substance existing in itself. It continues to exist in itself, even if it is no more attached to the body. It is immortal. Another argument is the human intellect knows being apart from material condition, abstraction. I already explained that. I go to number 12. So the manner the human soul will exist after death, that we don't know. But I will summarize very rapidly. The fact my soul was the form of a body, the last page, it is individual. My soul is individualized by quantified matter. When I die, my soul continues the form of a body. Because in fact, my soul is actually the form of my 11th body. Maybe for you, your third or fourth body, you know. The matter can change. The form continues to keep the identity. So when the body dies, is separated from the soul being immortal, continue to be an immortal form. That means, by nature, what is a form? It is a principle of determination of matter, no? So the form is in potency to receive a body. So that means it is possible to affirm the possibility of the resurrection of the body. Because my soul being immortal, continue to be the form of a body, and if God give me a body, I will be resurrected. That means the philosophy of Aristotle fits very well with the dogma of resurrection. But the philosophy of Plato, not at all. Because for Plato, the body is a cave, is a punishment, is a jail. But for Aristotle, the body must be with one. So it is, I cannot say that proof, and that proof the resurrection. But that is a good base, foundation, waiting block for the dogma of resurrection. So it is easier for, it is very easy for an Aristotelian to accept the dogma of resurrection than for a Platonician. Because my soul, after death, is not disappearing, is not merging in the old soul. It is individual soul, a form of a body, and waiting in potency. In fact, my soul is in potency to receive a new body. In that receiving a new body, I cannot prove that by reason. I go to the revelation, and the revelation gives it a day we will resurrect. Therefore, here you have a very good example of meeting between faith and reason. Faith and reason. Very good. Okay, thank you.